This is a Niall Boylan at Night podcast from Classic Hits 4FM. See classichits.ie for more.
There have been fresh calls for Ireland to follow the lead of other countries around the world to make corporal punishment of children in the home completely illegal. And tonight, I want to know if you agree. There has been an issue that has been it's been in the papers over the last while, and nothing seems to be actually done about it. It's like many issues in this country that the government are too fearful to actually legislate for in case, losing the public vote, I suppose. It seems that something tragic has to happen before this legislation takes place, like in the recent abortion issue. So should this be legislated for now before we read a story in the papers where a kid dies maybe from being disciplined or smacked in the home? Now, just to be clear on this, corporal punishment, of course, was banned in schools in 1982, but it is still legal in homes despite groups calling for it to be stopped over the years. It was reported today that Ireland is one of the very few countries in Europe which has not yet banned corporal punishment in the home, along with countries like Armenia, Estonia and Georgia. And I imagine we thought we were probably years and light years ahead of many of those countries. The United Nations have made calls for Ireland to change its laws when it comes to parents inflicting pain on children as a form of punishment. And the children's charity Bernardo's have also made renewed calls for the laws to be changed. A spokesperson for Bernardo's told the journal.ie that while we understand the frustration that parents face when dealing with the difficult behaviour, we believe that other discipline approaches such as time out, being grounded or withdrawal from favourite toys or activities promote positive parenting while teaching children boundaries and respect for themselves and others. Now, parents can be taken to court at the moment in this country for using excessive or unreasonable force against a child. But what is reasonable chastisement and what is actually allowed? There's I suppose it's, when we go back to abortion, it's the same thing. There's no clarity in the law. But should all forms of discipline against children in the home be banned? It's a really tough question, I'll be honest with you, because as much as I believe nobody should ever hit a child, I don't believe it's the way to go. I've never smacked my children. But in saying that, some people do. And, I got a few belts when I was a kid. And I'm going to use the cliche, which I'm sure you're sick of hearing. It didn't do me any harm. And there's a lot of people out there will say, well, look at the problems they have in America because they banned it, obviously, in America. And look at the problems they have over there with 12-year-olds walking around carrying guns with no respect for authority and law. So that we do have to teach children respect. But is this the way to teach them? I don't buy into the super nanny stuff, the naughty step and all that bullshit, because 99% of the time, if you're a parent, you'll understand it doesn't work unless you're going to nail the child to the step. All right, so all that nonsense doesn't work. I think you've got to be, every child is different. But I want to ask you a simple question tonight. Now, remember, if they do bring in legislation, which it looks like they may, it means that if you're walking around Tesco's and little Johnny acts the fool, and, you give him a smack across the leg, you'll find yourself in court. That's breaking the law. You smack him on the hand, you smack him on the leg, you smack him on the bottom, anywhere. I've actually seen a woman one day smack her kid across the head, which I think is outrageous. But parents do things like that. But if they bring in this law, it means you will not be allowed to touch your child anywhere, in public, in your own home, anywhere. And if anybody spots you or finds out that you're doing it, you go to jail. I'm asking you, is it right? Simple question I want to ask you tonight. Think about it logically before you answer. All right? I want a simple yes or a no. The big burning question, should corporal punishment in the home be banned completely in Ireland? Well, one of only 4 countries, Armenia, Estonia and Georgia and Ireland. United Nations is now putting pressure on the Irish government to do it. Do you think we should? Simple yes or no would suffice. And you can text your answer. Let's take a little text poll on it. Text your answer to 53544. That's 53544 for 20 cents. If you want to give us a call, you can. The number is 1850 410 494. That's 1850 410 494. Should you be allowed to use reasonable force? Slap your child. We'll use on the leg, okay? On the bottom, whatever way you want to look at it, a young child. Should you be allowed to do that in the privacy of your own home? So should Ireland bring in legislation to ban corporal punishment? Yes or no? So yes, you want it banned, or no, you don't think it's fair to ban it completely. 535 is a text number. Paula, you're in Dublin. You're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you.
Hiya, Niall.
How are you?
Not too bad. Now, first of all, you're saying a yes or a no. Well, yes and no, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
I think you should be allowed to slap your child to a certain extent, but like hitting the child on the bare bottom or, the bare skin, no. A smack in the bum, whatever. You know, when you were a child, you were slapped. Well, I know I was, and it never did me any harm.
Kicked around the house, actually, Paula.
No, well, I actually wasn't, because my mum couldn't catch me.
My mother would have used a cane she had out of a plant pot. Or I had a train track. She used to take that every now and again, and you get that across your arse.
Now, to me, that would be kind of, I'd say, oh, no. But it's a lot, like, I'm going on 44, right? I'm a 4-year-old child who rules this house, right? Now, you say to him, go to the naughty corner. He goes to the naughty corner and pulls the wallpaper off the wall.
Right, okay.
That's his naughty corner, you know what I mean? That doesn't work, right? Slap them, yes, but you know where to stop. Some people don't know where to stop, so I can understand why they want the law to come in. But then again, you can't let the kids away with murder either.
Do you believe, I don't buy into the super nanny stuff, sitting them on the naughty step for, you have a small child. You can imagine what it's like trying to get a child to sit there on the naughty step for 10 minutes. Absolute nonsense. They're not going to do it for you.
That's what I'm saying. He does. He sits there and pulls the wallpaper off the wall.
Right, okay.
So it's not worth your while.
So would you ever slap him, Paula?
Yeah, I have did.
Yeah?
I slapped him on the arse. No, I wouldn't slap him on the bare arse now.
Yeah.
Because, like your hand. And I would never I wouldn't let a man hit him. Because the reason why a man, I don't care what anyone says.
Paula, don't be sexist now.
No, listen.
Yeah.
No, listen to this now. A man doesn't realise their own strength. In all fairness, they don't.
I know women who don't realise their own strength.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't have anyone and everyone slapping him. There's only, like, his grandmother or myself or, that's it. That slap him. Otherwise, it's like...
See, a lot of people are going to say, it's assault. I mean, you have to understand, you're an adult, you're 5 foot, whatever, I don't know what height you're.
4'10". God is nearly taller than me.
Okay, well, you're 4'10", but your average adult is in his mid 5 foots, right? So you're 5 foot, whatever, or the person's 5, and they're slapping a child that might only be 3 foot tall. And that really there's no comparison that it's assault, that you should never do it. You're teaching the child the wrong thing. That's the way to deal with a problem, is to hit somebody.
No, Niall, if you send a child to school, right?
Yeah.
Now, I actually had a problem. I won't even mention schools or nothing like that. I had a problem where we were told, don't let the child hit. If anyone hits you in the yard, go straight to the teacher, right? And the person, just say for instance, Johnny hit, say, Mary, or Johnny hit Joe, right?
Yeah.
Well, because Johnny hit Joe, Johnny's name has been put down in a book, right? Now, I actually approached the parent of the child that hit my child, and I just said, listen, the way it is, if somebody hits my son, he's going to slap him back. But he is not allowed, my little boy is not allowed to hit girls. That's where I put my foot down. You reported to the teacher, which Johnny could have only hit the child once, but his name is going down in a book and he's being put down as a... I'm
with you, and we talked about that last week, and I'm with you 100% on that. I completely am with you that your child has to stand up for themselves. But when you're slapping them, you're punishing them. So you're slapping them without them slapping you for no reason as far as they're concerned, because they don't understand when they're being bold. They just think that's normal behaviour. It's up to you to teach them that's not the right thing to do. And somebody's going to say, well, if you're trying to teach them that's not the right thing to do, let's say, for example, I don't know, he writes on the wallpaper or something like that, and you slap him on the leg, he's going to say, well, hold on for a second here. Is that the way we deal with problems around here? You slap somebody.
Then you pull him aside and you tell him after you slap him, you say to him, listen, Mommy slapped you because what you did wasn't nice.
And how would you feel if they brought in legislation, and let's say, for example, you're out in Tesco's one day and you give them a bit of a slap on the leg, grab them by the arm and give them a bit of a slap on the leg, and somebody says, right, I'm calling the cops, I'm reporting you, Paula, and you end up in court? Would you think that was outrageous?
At the same time, I would. I think but then again, the court system now, in what we're after being heard in the past couple of weeks, hasn't been great either. So I don't think they really have a right to judge on parents. You know what I mean? If someone did turn around and stop me in the shop and say, what are you after hitting that child for? I'd have to tell them to go mind their own business.
Would you?
And then I would indeed. I would.
Because I'll be honest with you, Paul, I've often seen women, now I don't mean a little slap on the leg, but I've often seen, and it is particularly women, I'll be honest with you, and I'm not going to lie about it, because it's generally speaking, for some reason, it's always the women that seem to be with the children. But now, beating them senseless in the middle of, be it Tesco's or Woodies or whatever it happens to be, the child misbehaves and they get a clatter across the head, or they're dragged down the street, or, you know what I mean?
No, I don't agree with that. I have no problem giving them a slap across the arse, I wouldn't slap him on the bare legs now. I wouldn't do that because I know that kind of sting. But you just give him enough of a slap, a little slap, or I wouldn't hit him in the face, and especially the head. You don't do that. Across the bum, the hand, or the leg. That's it. And you tell them why you hit them. And it was bold. And just hope that they just kind of say, well, I shouldn't have did that. Although the slap would probably hurt you more than it.
Well, I think emotionally it would, yeah. I think emotionally it would, because I mean, I've often obviously shouted at the kids if they're bad or whatever. And I remember one day giving out to my daughter, and she's only 11 now. This was last year. And I kind of gave out to her, and I raised my voice an awful lot, and I shouted at her and everything else, and I sent her to bed, and I felt so shit after it. Oh, I really felt bad. I felt shit, like I had to go up and apologise to her. I know that sounds awful. Yeah, I just felt really bad. What?
That was defeating the purpose.
I know, but it's just you have these emotions inside yourself that I just feel shit after it.
I hit the little fella one day, right? He was after doing something. It was something that he was told not to do, and he did. I can't remember what it was. I gave him a little slap on the arse. But he milked it. He sobbed and sobbed, and it was a little slap on the arse. Like, I'm only 4'10". As I said, he's just nearly as big as me. Right, and he's only got 4.5. Now, I cried after I hit him because I felt terrible. But yeah, I didn't let him see me cry.
All right, well, hold on a second. I want to go to John. John, you're in Dublin. You're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you.
How are you doing, Niall?
How are you, John?
In relation to children and how will I put this? The discipline, maintaining discipline with children. The verbals don't work. They just don't work anymore, to be honest about it. You're in a different generation. You're in a different time. I think generally speaking, we're raising the most respectful in terms of discipline. The most they're entirely bereft of discipline. They're entirely bereft of respect. Mm-hmm. There's no line there whatsoever. There's no discernible line. There's no fear of a line that you don't cross, because it just isn't there anymore. And in a lot of cases, I think that it's simply not good anymore to just. It's very naive to think that just by verbals alone that you're going to instill discipline in your child.
Yeah, but hold on, John. I've got 3 kids, so I'm a parent, and I know what it's like to be a parent. I am not being smart when I'm saying, and I know it's a horrible cliche, and people say all the time, you don't have kids, you don't understand. But you don't have kids, John. It can be very tough. Paula has kids. It can be really tough to deal with now. I have gone through, I suppose, 16 years is my oldest. 16 years without laying a hand on them. So how can I do that, or how is that possible?
Because, hang on a second, Niall, I'm just going to hire up my phone.
Okay. You all right there now? Oh, I think we've lost them all together, have we?
Niall, I think when I say, when I'm talking about what I'm talking about, first of all, I'm not talking about, every child. But I think I think the reason that you've been able to do it without any physical correction ever coming into play is probably to do with the quality of parenting.
No, not necessarily. It's been times I felt like it, John. Don't get me wrong. I felt like I could bounce them off a wall. But you just hold yourself back. It's not. I don't believe it's the child that forces you to hit them. I think it's you. Do you understand what I'm saying? If it's in you to do something like that.
Niall, I'm finding it very, very hard to...
hold on. I get Mike to ring you on a different line. Maybe it might be just the line, okay? Mike, maybe we could give John a quick ring back there. I want to go to Ivan. Ivan, you're in Cork. Stay there, Paula. Ivan, you're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you, Ivan.
Hi, Niall. How are you doing?
How are you doing, Ivan?
Good, thank you indeed.
Do you think it's necessary for the government to bring in a ban? They're under pressure from the United Nations to bring in a ban, because we're one of the only countries, the few countries in Europe actually, that don't have a ban against corporal punishment in the home. Is it necessary?
I've kind of a couple of ways of going at that. The first lady that was on there, I kind of go yes and no on it, but I think no. The legislating for it, I think, opens up a whole can of worms. To be honest with you, Niall, for the simple reason that if you're there now, I'm not a parent, but I mean, I've seen situations in supermarkets where the mother, usually, and I don't want to be sexist about it, but it's usually the mother, will get so pissed off with Johnny or Mary that they that they're literally at the point of slapping him on the ass. Now,
Right.
are we going to criminalise that action?
Well, some countries would like you to criminalise that action. For example, in America, that action is technically criminalised.
Okay.
It's considered to be. I mean, what Paula, and with respect to Paula, what she does to her child by slapping him on the bottom and slapping him on the leg or whatever, as far as she's concerned, it's normal. It's just chastising her child in discipline. But according to the law, say in America, that's child abuse.
But I mean, if you say then, if we legislate for that, then okay, we ban it completely. Okay, let's take this as the scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, and we ban it completely. Well, then are we going to? We can't even look at our children then, and what's going to happen? Is society going to go on the tubes then? We can see what's happened in the States. I mean, as you say, you send them to the naughty step, and you say that's not a bollocks, quite frankly.
Oh, it is, yeah. Unless, as I said earlier, unless you nail them to it.
We've all seen, we've all seen the super nanny, and of course there's children, and they're completely out of control. I mean, you've seen it, I've seen it, most of us have.
But I don't see how physical discipline would sort out those children, for example. Those children, I mean, are out of control and you can see in the majority, and I'm sure Paula will agree, I'm sure we've all watched these Super Nanny programs, you can see in 99% of cases of those shows, the parents are at fault. It's the parents and the way they're dealing with the kids, and the parents are the ones who are just really bad parents. That you would let a child get away with that. I watched a program recently now, on RTE, and it was about allegedly ADHD. And it was this little young fella, he was about 7 years of age, and the mother was videoing him, obviously for the show. And she was videoing him, and he was pulling the front room apart, turned over the table, smashed a vase on the ground, knocked the television set down, kicking the chairs, and she was going, "This is what the ADHD does to him. It's awful." And she's videoing it. And I say, put the video camera down, grab him by the arm, put him in his room, and they let him do it. You know what I mean? And
Sorry, Niall, can I get in there for a second?
They glamorise bad behaviour sometimes. Sorry, Paula, go ahead.
Yeah, now, first of all, this ADHD, right, don't get me wrong, there is cases where it is.
Oh, look, there's cases of hyperactivity kids. I don't believe the label ADHD exists.
Yes,
that's personally my opinion.
But, honest to God, there is people that has kids that are horrendous now, and I'm saying horrendous. They let them run the parents' life.
Every child, yeah, but Paula, every child is different. When I was a kid, there's quiet kids, there's hyper kids. They're different.
They put it down to ADHD, which is bull.
When you give a child a label like ADHD, you're basically giving the child an excuse to behave badly.
Yeah, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, I do firmly believe there is some cases of ADHD. Now, another thing I just wanted to say, sorry for interrupting there, right? The reason why them kids on the telly has got so bad is because the parents haven't checked them at a young enough age. They've been, "I should grow over, he'll grow over." That's why they're pulling the bloody telly off the walls and all.
So do you believe a small slap on the leg every now and again, a slap on the bottom, Paul, is okay then?
Definitely. And I don't care. They can lock me up for it if they want. Definitely.
Okay, well, hang on, wait for a second, and I know I got Sean back as well, but I just want to go to Katie first. Katie, you're waiting a while there. You're in Dublin, you're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you, Katie.
Hi, Niall, how are you?
How are you, Katie? Do you think a complete ban, legislation, a ban on corporal punishment in the home is a good idea?
Yes, Niall, this is absolutely disgusting what I'm hearing on the radio here now.
Holy
These
dear.
people smacking their kids. I swear to God, it's like we're living back in the Stone Age now where they used to hit them in schools and all. It's absolutely disgusting. I would never, ever raise my hand to a child. Never, ever, no matter what they were doing. The best way to do it is just, if they're being bad, Niall, just talk to them or ignore them, or as you said there,
ignore
put them in
them.
a room. You don't ever raise your hand to a child. It's
Niall, can I get in
disgusting.
there, please, to Katie?
Yeah, go ahead,
It's
Paula.
definitely child abuse, Niall.
Sorry, Katie, can I speak to you for a second?
Hang on, Ivan. Yeah, go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 25.
Right, well, you're only a young mother, right? And you've one and one on the way, isn't that right?
Yeah, should be
Yeah,
due soon.
right.
Yeah.
Well, what would you do if your child starts acting up at home, right? Now, I mean acting up like being bold. Would you not give him a little slap, a whole little slap on the bum?
No, I never do that. All I do
Well,
is
all
tell
I'm
them to
telling
stop.
you is you're in awful trouble if you let that child away with it. Because that child is going to beat you up into the face when it gets older.
That's just bad parenting. That
No,
is bad
it's
parenting,
not. Would you
smacking
give me
child
a
like
break?
that.
Hang on a second.
No, it's
I'm 40.
absolutely
Listen,
horrible.
hang on.
I don't know how you're doing it.
How I'm doing it, I'll tell you how I'm doing it. I'm going on 40. I had my child late in life, right? He's 4.5 years of age. I'm going on 44, right? Now, my child is very well mannered. He says, please, thank you, the whole lot, right? But don't get me wrong, he's no angel. He is definitely no angel. And if he's out of line and he does something, I give him a little slap in the arse. See all this naughty corner, all this naughty corner business is crap. Are you one of these who folly 9911? Sorry?
What's he learning from you smacking him? That's all
well,
right.
He's learning that it's wrong. He's learning that it's wrong. You come back to me. You come back to me in about 5 years' time and you tell me that you can't get your child in off the street, or your child is breaking this, that and the other, or is ignoring you or something, and we'll have this conversation again. I honestly don't think... Right, you might be a mother and you might be younger than me, but to me you're only a child.
Okay, well, hang on for a second. I want to just bring... hang on, wait, Katie, wait for a second. I want to bring John in, sorry, because he was on there and he got cut off earlier on. Sorry, John, finish what you're saying.
I wholeheartedly back up what that lady's after saying. She's only a child herself. Niall, part of the problem here is the fact that, well, as I said, I believe that the problem, I'm by no means... I mean, you said to me before I had to leave because of the problem with my phone, you've never had to smack your child or physically correct your child, right? Now, by no means am I saying that all children need to be physically corrected. I think children that are well raised have had proper discipline instilled from a very young age. Will probably not have to be, in all fairness, physically corrected. I do think, I mean, Katie's a child, let's be honest about it, she's only 25 years of age, and she sounds like a very immature 25-year-old as well. Now, the younger the parent is having the child, I think the more likelihood the child is going to have that lack of discipline, and you're going to have a situation where a child is going to that unruliness is going to be there, that bud of, unruliness, lack of discipline is going to be there from a very young age and just proceed through to...
John, do you have any kids?
Whether I have children or not is immaterial. What I'm saying can be backed up.
What the fuck would you know if you don't have any kids? You're not a parent, so how would you know?
What the F would I know? You are a child. This is Niall. Niall. This is about babies raising babies. She's a baby raising a. She's
hardly a baby. She's 25 years of age, John, which is the average age for a parent, a young parent.
She's raising her baby. Niall, if you want to be honest about it, from the sounds of her, she's probably raising her baby on your taxes.
John, don't go there.
Don't go there.
It's a different topic.
We've been through this before.
We have, you're absolutely right. We have been through this before, and whether we go through it once, twice, 2 times, 4 times, or 104, it doesn't change the reality. It doesn't change the reality. Jays is how he is like you, that are getting pregnant straight from school are raising their kids on taxpayers' money. That's the reality of it.
Hold on, John. Hold on. Wait for a second. Sorry, if anyone wants to give us a call on this, you can. The number is 1850 410 494. That's 1850 410 494. Or text us at 53544. The question I simply asked was, should our government take heed of the United Nations today, who said that Ireland should bring in a ban on corporal punishment in the home? In other words, you can't smack your kids at all. You can text us right now at 53544 for 20 cents. Right, sorry, John. In fairness to Katie, I would have expected, and sorry, Katie, I'm not stereotyping you here, but I would have expected Katie to come on and saying, yeah, give them a good smack if they just misbehave themselves. I didn't expect Katie
Niall, if I can ask you, why would you have expected somebody like Katie to say that?
Well, because you're suggesting she's a bad parent.
Well, she is a bad...
I consider to be bad parents to be parents who are out of control.
I'm saying it outright. I'm saying it outright. She's not a good parent. She doesn't have the maturity to be a good parent. Listen to her. She's effing and blinding on the air. She's left... Katie, I've never met you, right? I've never seen your face. And already I have a mental picture of exactly what you... Katie, I've never laid eyes on you, and already I have a crystal HD picture of you in my head of exactly what you look like and where you come from. And I'm right.
I'm in a place...
Yeah, sorry, Paula, go ahead.
Make me a bad parent.
Go ahead,
I just
Paula.
want to say something to John.
Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
hang on for a second, right? Now, I think you're completely out of order with Katie there, right? I don't agree with what she's saying, right? But
Right.
this business of Jesus, how are you, and whatever you're after saying, that's nothing to do with it at all, right? I wasn't condemning Katie for that. All I was condemning Katie was to say she was younger, and therefore they let the kids away with a little bit more. Now, where she comes from, what way she speaks or at, and you cannot say what kind of a mother she is.
Right, can I take you up on that? Can I challenge you on that
go
point?
on, John. Yeah.
Right. Are you telling me, right, that children that first of all come from, how will I put this, low socio-economic backgrounds that usually come from one-parent families are not statistically more likely? Are you telling me there isn't evidence there to suggest that children that come from low socio-economic areas that are usually raised by very young one-parent, that come from very young one-parent situations, are more likely to end up immersed in criminal antisocial behaviour than other kids that don't come from low socio-economic? Are you telling me that? Niall, you've actually spoken about this.
Well, statistically what he says is actually correct, but that still doesn't, hold on a second, that still doesn't correlate with what we're talking about with smacking your child, John.
But of course it doesn't, but the only reason I mentioned that was in response to what she said, that lady said that where Katie comes from has nothing to do with her being a good parent. Statistically,
I would have imagined it was the other way around, John, that the fact that being a single parent is a tougher job, more frustrating, and probably easier to lash out at a child. Personally, I would imagine it would have been the other way around. That statistically, a single parent would be more likely to lash out at a child because of the frustration of being a single parent and being more difficult to discipline your children.
No, I'm not getting into this ringmaster thing with you again. I'm not talking per se generally about single parents.
Right.
I was raised by a single parent. I'm talking about young Jesus, how he is, that have gone straight from school, got themselves up the duff, and ended up basically raising their children on taxpayers' money that will statistically, and you've just said it, you said it a couple of seconds ago, statistically will go on to do less well than their peers that do not come from low socio-economic backgrounds.
Or two-parent families. Okay. Well, but going back, let's stick to the slapping. So, Katie, why do you believe it's so wrong, say, for a parent to, like, for example, Paula was saying, if her little fella misbehaves, a little slap on the bottom or a slap on the leg, she's not talking about beating him senseless.
I know, but no, I just think it's so cruel. Like, even I think our children be afraid of you then. Do you know that way? Like, I couldn't imagine, like, when I was
That's a very low
younger,
level of intelligence.
Well, I'm not saying, Katie, there should be an element of fear, but there certainly should be an element of respect. And unfortunately, to get respect, there must be some element of fear.
You don't gain respect by hitting people, though, Niall. You don't gain respect.
No, you gain respect by letting them away with
and what
everything.
happens when they start hitting back then? What happens when they get so old that they're hitting you back then? Do you know what I mean? You're only going to turn on yourself then.
Sorry, what did you say, John? You gain respect?
If you don't, she's just, in actual fact, the last sentence that she spoke there, what I can say to her is that if you let them, throughout their childhood, get away with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and especially, I mean, I've listened to talk shows where, mothers have come on and said, he's 16, 17 years of age now, and he's hitting me, and he's giving me abuse, and he's doing this, and he's doing that, and there's no father in the home. So what Katie is actually saying is going against her, in that if you do not employ some slight physical discipline, and we're not morons here, nobody is talking about beating anybody. We're talking about a slap on the bottom. We're talking about, only when the situation is called for. If you do not employ that slight physical discipline from the earliest possible age, it is needed. Then you will have a situation where they will, as soon as they're old enough and strong enough, to maybe physically turn the gun on you, so to speak.
Okay, well, I'll hang on for a second. No. Sorry, Katie, go ahead, yeah.
John, are you saying if you don't smack them, they're going to smack you back? Is that what you're saying?
Would you like me to get you a blackboard and glove puppets, Katie?
Don't be so smart, you. Don't be so smart. I'm only asking you a bleeding question, John.
Well, if you were listening to me, well, then you already know the answer to the question.
I'm just making sure I heard you right. You're saying if you don't discipline them with a bit of violence, that they are going to hit you when you're older. But where would they learn that from? This is what I'm saying. If you smack your kids when they're young, they're going to think that's normal and go around smacking everyone in that these balls. Can you not just say to them, don't do that, you're not allowed to do that, that's foul? Why do you have to smack kids? Do you know what I mean?
Katie,
I don't see what it's going to bring.
Katie, the kiddies corner psychologist, right? Katie, you haven't done. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not old enough to know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I do know exactly what I'm talking about. I do know exactly what I'm talking about because the statistics speak for themselves. If you look, children from low socio-economic backgrounds with single.
Where is this
raised by single
Niall,
but a lot of this, John, is to do with not having the facilities for a child and not have. I mean, talking about at home. I'm talking about at home, not by the way externally, because it's been proven in areas of, as you call them, low socioeconomic backgrounds, they actually have more facilities than anywhere else. But I'm talking about in the home, not having the finances to let the child do things that they want to do. There's a lot of that, and also the frustration involved in not having finances and poverty creates that problem too.
Everybody has problems. I mean, we're in a recession now. Everybody has varying degrees of financial, challenge.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Wait there, both of you if you can. Mary, you're in Galway. You're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Mary, is it ever okay to slap a child, is it?
Hello?
Yeah, Mary, go ahead.
This me?
Yeah, that's you, Mary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's no harm in slapping a child, because we grew up with slaps, didn't we?
Well, yeah, we got a fair few of them, all right, probably. Yeah,
we got a fair few of them, like. And
we also grew up in a society where sexual abuse was rampant, but that doesn't make it right either, Mary. You know what I mean?
Physical.
We're not talking about abuse, like we're just talking about slap on
the
ass.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying attitudes change.
You cannot draw a parallel, Niall.
I'm not drawing a parallel. I'm just saying it's for us to turn around as I did earlier on as well and say it was okay 40 years ago, so it should be okay now. That unfortunately doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. The way Kate's talking, like, he's not supposed to slap any child, like,
Yeah.
That's where he's going to grow up like her, then, like, go knock this that way,
What?
We're going to grow up like. There's no harm at all in slapping a child on the legs, on the arse, like.
And what do you mean if Katie doesn't slap her child, he's going to grow up like her? Well, Katie might be happy enough that he grows up like her.
Yeah, but she seems like that she doesn't give a shite more innocent.
Okay, well, I'll let her answer that.
I don't give a shite.
What?
What do you say? I don't give a shite about my children.
No, but you're saying you don't want to slap the child, like, it's going to grow up then that he doesn't give a shite for it.
I don't abuse my child. I'm not abusing my child by smacking my child. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where you're from. You sound like you're from the country, and maybe that's all right down there, but I would never raise my hands to my children. There's other ways to discipline children than smacking them.
I never raised my hand to my child either, like, but she's okay the way she's like.
Why didn't you do it then? Why are you saying it's all right, but you never did it? You obviously don't think it's right if you never did it, but it was done to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, back in the day, it was the norm, like, for people to get a smack like in skills now, but we've moved on from that, and we know it's wrong. Like, it's disgusting.
Yeah,
okay, well, hang on, John. Sorry, one at a time. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Mary?
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
I'm just saying to Katie, like, you don't want to slap a child at all. Like, you have to slap a child sometime. Because they're going to grow up.
What do you mean you have to slap a child sometime? Like, what is, like, I don't understand. You have to slap a child sometime. Can you hear yourself? That's disgusting.
If they get out of hand, you have to slap them.
But Mary, I think the point Katie's making is you don't have to slap them.
Okay, Katie, you're from a different generation. My generation...
Exactly, and we're in this generation now, do you know what I mean? Like, we can't be going around smacking kids thinking it's all right.
We're raising the most disciplined generation of children in human history.
By smacking them, John. Is that what we're doing?
What does what you just say? What does what you just said, Katie? What does what you just said now have to do with what I just said now? How do you connect those two? How do you connect those two sentences?
You said you're raising the generation.
No, I said we are raising the least respectful generation of children in human history. What does that have to do with what you said?
Well, maybe that's because everyone's gone around smacking their children. Who's going to have respect? If someone smacked me, I would lose all respect for them. Do you know that?
Katie,
I would have zero respect.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, hang on, John. Hang on for a second. Some of the text coming in. Somebody says, please, can you read out my text, Niall? Hang on, gang. Please, can you read out my text, Niall? Typical crap out of Casey's mouth. She's going to raise thugs who won't know the difference between right and wrong, and they will amount to nothing more than a drain on the society. Oh my gosh, to be honest with you, I'm kind of siding with Katie on this one. Somebody says, why is John always on when kids come up? What has he got against kids or unmarried mothers? Another person says, what's wrong with all these women slapping kids? Mothers love my arse. Obviously reference to Mary. Sorry, Mary, I want to go back. You said there a few minutes ago, Mary, somebody said it in a text, what does that L one on the air mean, that you have to slap your kids? Why do you have to slap your kids?
There's no reason to slap kids.
Sorry?
There's no reason to slap kids, but if they're going the wrong way, you have to give them a little slap on the arse. Like, there's no harm in that. Like, and why does Katie think there's a reason for a slap the arse? Like, that's why they're all, you know, in Dublin, like they're all bummers or what's the word?
What? What's wrong with people in Dublin?
I'm not saying Dublin, but I'm not just saying Dublin either. Like,
we don't have exclusivity on slapping kids in Dublin, by the way.
Like Katie, they don't get a slap on the arse. Like, they want to say, oh yeah, slap on the arse. Like, we brought up slaps on the arse and didn't do us any good, did it? I mean, didn't do us any bad.
I don't know.
More streetwise now.
I don't know, Mary. I'm listening to you. I don't know whether it did or not. Hold on, Fran, you're in Dublin. You're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you.
How are you, Niall?
How are you doing, Fran?
Not too bad. Just listening there, right? Number one, John, you've no kids, and Katie's on, and you're off running them out as usual. Just leave her out and talk about the topic instead about what you're saying there. Katie, just relax there and, you know, take deep breaths. And as you're one from the country, I don't know what the story is there, but there's nothing wrong with a slap in the arse. Once it's, you know, a slap in the arse, once it's not abuse, and we know what we're talking about, abuse, because all week long we've been talking about the justice system. And if you remember there, I think it was last night, the night before, Niall, you were saying that when we had a guard down here, when a young fella stepped down the line, he gave him a crack in the jaw.
This is, in my own area, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, yep. And he put the teenager or whoever it was put into place, and he went off scarfing back home, crying to mommy and daddy, do you know, Mike?
Yeah, but I understand all that, and I kind of agreed with that in the times that were then, because it was acceptable, as I said earlier on, but of course attitudes change, times change, and I understand what you're saying, that you have to keep some form of discipline, you know, which is important, but it's smacking your children the way to do it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a smack. We have 3 kids now, as you know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a smack. There's none of them on drugs. There's none of them in trouble with the law. And there's, the 3 of them are actually working. So I don't see a problem with a smack. There's a smack and there's a smack now. I mean, a guy used to go to school and he used to be in with the Christian Brothers, and there was a teacher there that used to give me a crack across the back of the head. Now, when he used to give me a cross, it was just at the lower back of the head. Now, anybody touches me in the back of the head, that's it. I see red. Do you know, Monique?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It had permanent damage on you, so I don't know. So,
yeah, but...
Okay, well, hold on a second. Katie, there's Fran saying he's 3 kids, brought up well, not in drugs, they've all got good jobs now, and he give them an odd smack every now and again.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I'm basically hearing off people. If you don't smack your kids, they're going to grow up to be thugs. That's what I'm hearing. So am I going to go in now there, my son's in bed, going to give him an old wallop, and that'll get him through school and through get a job and all? That is what I'm hearing. Everyone who's coming on going,
hang on.
No, everyone who's coming on is going, I got a smack and I'm all right. That's
no,
like, you know what I mean? If I go in there now and smack my son, is he going to get through school, go to college and get a job? Is that what they're all saying?
Kate, excuse me, hang on for a minute, Kate. Just relax there for a minute. As I said, right, number one, I didn't say by giving a child a smack he's going to get to college and he's going to get a job and this, that, you know. All I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with a smack in the arse. You know, once it's just a smack in the arse, once it's not a form of abuse. Now, at the end of the day, when you tell your child there and he starts doing things wrong, you tell him not to do that again, right? What happens? Be honest about it. Does he go and sit in the bowl step? Does he go up to his room and do no more damage?
Yeah, no, he sits in his room until he's ready to come out.
He sits in his room. So
Are you telling me that you smacked your child once on the arse and then that was it and they never did that in bowls again?
No, I checked him for going in there. What about, you know, going near the fireplace when you had a fire? I mean, think by saying, oh, don't go near that, right, up to your room. That was the end of it. Would that be the end of it with your child, was it? I think it's not going to come back down and say...
explain to him why you didn't go near the fire.
You have to explain to him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course you explain, but you also explain to him why you got a slap in the arse. You don't give him a slap in the arse and not explain to him.
Would you not be better off explaining that the fire is hot and you'll burn yourself instead of going, I'm giving you a smack on the arse because you're being bold? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to do that. And like, could you not just explain? Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, John, what did you say?
I said that logic proves just what a child she really is.
Why? What's wrong with what she said?
Oh, for Christ's sake, Niall.
Oh, for Christ's sake, nothing, John. What's wrong with... I'm going to defend her here. What's wrong with what she said?
Niall.
She all she said was, and I'm not disagreeing with Fran's parenting methods. That's his methods that he wants to use. That's fine. But all I'm saying is, Katie said, you take the child away from the fire and you explain to him that's dangerous. What's wrong with what she said, John?
Well, hang on. Were you listening to what Fran said? Fran said that only in under very, 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 very minute circumstances do you need to slap your child on the bottom, right?
Yes. But hold on. But all she did is she reacted to what Fran said.
You still need that. He's right. Because you still need that.
John, you are absolutely wrecking my head. You're such a fucking ignorant prick. You have no idea what you're talking about. You haven't got kids, so
I'm an ignorant prick. I'm an ignorant prick. Your children are going to end up in jail by the time they're 18. They're going to end up drug addicts or fucking car thieves or fucking God knows what.
You don't have any.
You
don't have any kids, John, so you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? So you need to shut up and get off your
You are a kid. And you know what? You raise your kids exactly the same way your parent raised you and your grandparents raised your parents. Because this shit goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
John, you need to get down off your high horse. Seriously, every time I
I'm not on a high horse. I'm not on a high horse. Children must be physically correct, mildly physically corrected.
Okay, well, hang on. Sorry, Fran wanted to say something. Sorry, Fran, go ahead.
For starters, hang on for a minute. Just hang on there for a minute. Now, I got a slap in the arse. Now, I can tell you something now, Katie. If you didn't get a slap in the arse and the way you're running your mouth there and coursing left, right and centre, it doesn't do you the world of good if you're going to keep giving people lip like that. I mean, real lip service. Because obviously you don't know right from wrong. Now, when we were talking today, Niall, I was saying about a slap in the arse. I said, there's nothing wrong with a slap in the arse. Now, Katie's response to it, there's nothing wrong with Katie's response, but there seems to be a tit for tat there going on between her and John. The problem today now is...
Wait, Fran, do you hold on, hang on, Katie. Do you think, are you suggesting for a minute, but the language that Katie's using, so you're suggesting she's badly brought up then if she wasn't slapped?
Because she's not listening. She's choosing not to listen, so how is she going to, how do you correct a person like that?
Mm-hmm. She's not listening, and she's actually putting herself across with the language she's using and the verbals that she's using.
I prefer to come off the way I'm coming off than I come off like you. Do you know that? You're just so ignorant, stuck up your own hole.
Okay,
you think you know everything.
Katie.
No, John, you think you know everything. You haven't even got kids, so how can you...
Okay, well, Katie, just if you could for the moment respond to what Fran was saying, for example, that, you know, that it just brings a bit of discipline into your child's life, basically. Will you smack Katie as a child?
I would just rather talk to my child than smack him all. I'm not going to smack my child. It's just absolute. How could you sleep at night knowing you're supporting your own child?
Disciplined as a child?
You bring a child up to protect it. That's what a parent is. And you're going around. You're like, they're going to need protecting off you, Niall. You're there to protect your child and make sure they're safe. And you're going around smacking them.
Okay, sorry, Fran. Go ahead.
Noel, for starters, number one, Katie, the sort of parent that turned around and says, my little Johnny didn't do that when he did do it. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's coming across now. Protect your child. Do you know what I mean? Now, as I said, I was trying to say today, Noel, if you remember going back years ago, if you were playing football outside Mrs. Brown's garden and Mrs. Brown came out and said, you take that ball away, you went running. Now if somebody's playing outside Mrs. Brown's garden and they come out with it and Mrs. Brown says, will you take that? And she's about 70 years of age, will you take the ball away? The kids are turning around and telling her to fuck off.
How do you know I lived outside Mrs. Brown's garden? Oh, well, that's purely coincidental, by the way.
We all had Mrs.
I literally had a Mrs. Brown next door that we did actually put the ball through our window once or twice, unfortunately. I do understand the point you're making, Fran, but again, I come back to the fact that attitudes have changed. Now, I know I don't agree with some of the political correctness that's around nowadays, but I am all in favour of protection of children. Wait there, both of you, if you can, for a second. I want to go to Christine. Christine, you're in Dublin. You're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you.
Hi, good evening to you guys.
Hi, Christine. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask the guys, well, I'm kind of on Katie's side. It went over the subject a bit into another side about the doll, if she's single mother or if she's not single mother. That's none of the business, okay? The conversation was about slapping the child or not slapping the child, okay?
Yeah.
In my family, I have my own experience. My older sister, my father and my mom, they were raising her very strictly, so she used to get a lot of slaps. She used to be in loads of trouble, so she had bad marks in school, blah, blah, blah. Well, she has almost no relationship with our parents, because she has this hate, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't think that today there's need to slap a child. I tell you why. If we all watch TV, we know the nanny, the
Super Nanny.
911 nanny.
Yeah.
That's where you get the whole point how to raise a child. You don't need to slap them. I remember
Super
when I was,
Nanny, absolutely.
Yeah, when I was growing up,
Super Nanny.
I was growing up, I remember I had no fear to my parents because I know they're not going to touch me, because after they were touching my older sister, they knew that's not the way, because it didn't change anything. If she would do that, she would still do that, because they didn't just slap her. They didn't really explain. They had loads of anger. The kid couldn't understand what's going on, okay? Katie's saying the right thing. If you can just say, I remember my dad used to give me a look. If I do something, if I break something, or if I say a bad word, I remember it was one look, and I would never say this word again. I would never ask this question again, or I would never do something like I would get punished for, because I know my dad's going to look at me, and that's enough.
And that look was enough to scare you.
Me.
Yeah, that look was enough to scare you enough.
They never slap me. They never touch me. They just take a toy away, or they would say, "You're not going to the class," because I used to do music. I used to play guitar. They say, "No, you're not going to the class today because you're being bad. You're being bold." That's the best way to do. Just take something that they appreciate, the love, and they will learn.
Okay, well, hang on for a second.
Hey, hang on, Niall. I'm just going to say one more thing.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to just dump you there, Christine. Hold on for a second. I just wanted Fran to react to what you said. Fran, is that not proper parenting nowadays? Which is, I'm not going totally into the whole TV thing, but certainly, take something off. And that's what I do with my son. I'll ban him from the computer or the Xbox for a week or whatever it happens to be. Is that not the proper way to parent nowadays?
Look, there's ways of working. Some kids today will accept that sort of treatment, in taking the computer off them. Will take it, right? And they will obey it, boy. But there's majority of kids out there that will tell you to go fuck yourself, Niall.
Absolutely, 100% correct.
But hold on. But you've already lost the game. If your child, as you say, tells you to go and fuck yourself, you've lost. But you've lost the game.
But you've lost yourself the game, because your child has got to a point where he's been allowed to react like that.
But why have you let it, as a parent, get to that point where your child says something like that to you?
But hang on, Niall.
If my children would never, I could never even imagine one of my children telling me to go and fuck myself, basically.
They've been raised properly, Niall.
No. I'm not a perfect parent by any stretch of the imagination.
Hang on, Niall.
Yeah.
Hang on. Don't get me wrong here. What I'm saying is, there's certain kids out there, there's certain kids that you know, how's it going here, right?
Exactly. That's exactly the kind of kids I'm talking about.
So what are you trying to do, lads? Suggest that that's what Katie's kids are going to grow up like?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wrong.
I never said Katie's kids are going to grow up like anything. All I said, there's nothing wrong with a slap in the arse, Niall. Now, as
what's talking about putting on that accent? That's the way he talks.
Hang on, Christine and John. Wait there for a second. Sorry, Katie, what did you say?
I said, what's Fran going on putting on that accent? That's the way he talks. He didn't even have to change his accent there, so he must be talking about his own kids.
Jesus, the cat calling the pot black, what?
Yeah, I know I have a Dublin accent, but I wasn't saying nothing about it. Do you know what I mean? Like when you were saying there, if their kids is telling them to fuck off that age, you've gone wrong somewhere. And my child would never tell me to do that. Like, do you know what I mean?
You're right there, Katie. Your child will never tell you to fuck off. You're right there. You know all about it now at this stage, don't you? Don't you?
Yeah,
you show real discipline around your kids now, don't you? Now, if you want to get into it, you show real discipline around your kids. You're a layabout. You won't go to work. You go off of socialising, hunting married men. That's a great way to show your kids on how to be reared, isn't it?
Sorry, Fran, how would you know anything about the way I bring up my kids? You're not there
You've been talking about it on the radio left, right and centre. I don't have to know. You've been talking about it on the radio.
When I'm bringing
I'm a
up
big
my
man.
child,
How's it going? You all right? What's the story, Katie? Huh? Come on.
What are you
If you want to
talking
start going down that road,
when I'm there with my child?
Katie, if you want to go down that road, go down that road. I mean, you're a great person to be teaching our kids how to live, on the dole, isn't it?
At least I'm there to bring up my kids, friends.
You're there to bring up the kids. You're not there to... Why are you teaching our kids? How are you teaching our kids when you have nothing to give them except the social welfare?
Sorry, I'm
You've no ambitions in life.
Everything they know.
You've no ambitions in life, Katie.
Sorry, Christine. Sorry, hang on. I think Christine wants to defend you here. Sorry, Christine, what do you want to say? Something
Seriously, he's just going off the subject whatsoever. Like, is Katie on the dole or she's not on the dole? It has nothing to do with the subject we're talking about. Slapping the child.
Before you go any further,
slapping the child.
wasn't the first one to start.
To listen to you, I think you would go and slap Katie right now as well. Because you said she's like a child. So go and slap Katie, which is now goes by abuse of a woman. Right? But you're saying that she's a child. So I think you would slap even your wife. I think you would raise your hand on your wife because that's the way you're going to treat your children and your wife.
Sorry, John, what are you trying to say there? Go ahead.
She's not even from this country. She doesn't even understand exactly what we're saying in the context of what we're saying.
Very well what
you're
not
saying. From this country.
John, that's outrageous just to come out with a lie. Hold on a second. Hang on. John, there's a bit of banter going on here, but to come out with a lie like that is outrageous. Just because she's not from the country.
When we talk about mother... Look,
Niall,
I'll explain myself. Niall, allow me to...
Hold on. What has her not being from this country, which is quite obvious, obviously, got to do with disciplining a child?
My statement.
What? Okay, explain to me the justification of you saying that to Christine.
She knows nothing about what we are saying in respect of Katie. We are talking about
nationality, which has nothing to do with the subject.
You're not from this country. You don't know what we're talking about.
So what? Doesn't matter. Even if Katie's from Scotland. Doesn't matter what. If she's on a dole, if she's single, we're talking about slapping the child.
You're talking about with respect to this. We're talking about single mothers from low socio-economic backgrounds.
So if you're a single mother, you're slapping children. Is that the bullet point?
No, we're not. You have to be from this country to understand what we're talking about. When we're talking about mothers like Katie, you're not from this country.
You need to rest your voice there. You rest your voice. It's gone.
Yeah, well, actually, you all need to rest your voice because I got to take a break, actually, because I'm starting to cough and I need a glass of water after all that. We got to take a quick break. The number again is 1850 410 494, or you can text us at 53544. Whether you might not even know what we're talking about at this stage. Well, what actually happened was the United Nations have insisted that Ireland take a stand on some legislation. Along with Armenia, Estonia and Georgia, Ireland has no legislation when it comes to corporal punishment in the home. We did ban it in schools in 1982, but not in the home, despite groups calling for it to be stopped years ago, groups like Bernardo's. So I'm simply asking you a question. Should corporal punishment in the home be completely banned in Ireland? In other words, you can't even smack your child in the leg. For example, here in Ireland, you're walking through, be it Tesco's or Dunn's or Superquinn or whatever, and you see some woman slapping her child across the arse or the head or whatever it happens to be. There's nothing illegal about that in this country. It's corporal punishment in the home. Technically, it's between parents and children, unless it's outrageously bananas. They're not going to get arrested. You do that in some states in America, you'll find yourself in the clinker very quickly. I'm asking you, should we make it illegal? Some people saying, like John, for example, and Fran said he brought his kids up and he gave them a smack every now and again. John said there's nothing wrong with it, but Christine and Katie both insist it's child abuse. You cannot smack your children. There's other ways to discipline your children. Some of the reaction on Twitter, somebody said here, our DJB says on Twitter, effing UN will have to step in and sort this out. I wouldn't allow Katie mind a dog, never mind a child. Kevin O'Sullivan said, I'm breaking my arse laughing at this lot tonight. Miss Ellie said, I've never slapped my kids. Oh. Kevin says, I'll stick a key in their arses and wind them up again. It's hilarious to listen to. It can be if it wasn't so serious. Some of the texts, by the way, coming in at 53544. That's 53544 for 20 cents. Niall, I really have to question why you keep giving John airtime. Well, in fairness, John actually hasn't been in the show, I'd say, since before Christmas, as far as I can remember. Somebody says, I despair. Slapping is never the answer. There are many other ways to discipline your children. Even the language being used by your guests is abusive. Our children deserve better. I'm speaking from experience as a teacher and a parent. I repeat myself, good discipline does not need slapping, either on the legs or the posterior. Also, your guests are so vindictive and judgmental of all your other guests on the show tonight. Katie posed the most correct observation. Slapping is poor role modelling and gives a bad example. Take control of your guests. They need discipline, Niall. All right, well, maybe they do. You can text us at 53544. The question I simply asked. We're doing a little text polling at the moment, and it's kind of 50-50, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking here now. Let me see. No, yes. No. Yeah, it's kind of 50-50 at the moment. The UN have advised Ireland to legislate because we've no clarity in the law when it comes to corporal punishment in the home. Barnados are insisting that we should do it, that it would be beneficial and more grounded, that you should withdraw favourite toys or activities from your child to promote positive parenting rather than slapping your kids. And I'm asking, should Ireland legislate and ban corporal punishment in the home completely? Just text a simple yes or no and get involved in our text poll to 53544. If you want to get involved, you can call us on 1850 410 494. All right, I want to go to Fran because he wants to address something Christine said. Sorry, Fran, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Niall there.
Yeah.
I actually got on the radio show to back up Kate a little bit, but after a little bit of her abuse there, I didn't like the way she was starting to snap at me. But as for Christine there for saying that I hit my wife, that's very wrong, you know what I mean? And before you go any further, Christine, just letting you know, I don't hit any woman. And as well as that, my son is sitting here, and he's going out with his girlfriend, that he's living with his girlfriend, and he'll tell you exactly what will happen to him if he ever touches a woman. So just hang on for a second.
Hello, Niall.
Yeah, how you doing, Fran's son? What's your name?
My name's Arnold.
Yeah, no, I assume you're a pretty well brought up young fella. What's your instruction if you ever hit a woman? You'll feel the wrath of your father, would you?
If I ever hit a woman, no, it's not just my father I have to worry about. It's my brother as well.
Mm.
I'll be put on the ground quite quickly.
I mean, your dad openly admitted when you lads were young, you know, he would have gave you an odd smack on the leg or a smack on the ass. Do you think that does any harm?
No, in regards to my brother was brought up pretty well, but in regards to myself, I had ADHD, a serious case of ADHD and attention to Asperger's. So it's a troubled child to deal with. So in regards to myself, my dad had to give me a slap in the ass to let me know right from wrong, because I'd be wild, as they say, you know?
And you don't believe there was any other way of dealing with that apart from a bit of physical discipline every now and again?
A bit of discipline never hurt me, Noel, and the way my dad did it was, if I did do it, it wasn't a hard slap, it wasn't, serious, and it was a box, it was a slap on the leg, told that this is what you have to do. You can't go around acting, Jack the lad. You can't be picking on people or bullying people. And I'm not going to lie, there was phases in my life where I have done it. And my dad has put me back into check. And now here I am. I have a girlfriend. I work a hard job. I'm a respectful person, as I like to think so myself. And I don't think any harm has ever come from a father. Now, in regards to my father doing anything, there's nothing bad come of it. I am a well-managed young man.
Okay, well, hold on. Put your father back on again, because I want to let Christine respond to what he said, all right? Thanks for that. Appreciate you coming on the air.
No problem.
All right, sorry, Christine, you heard what Fran said. It was outrageous of you to suggest that, if he's quite happy to smack kids and treat Christine or Katie like that, he probably hit a woman.
I think it was John. It was another guy who said that Katie sounds very immature. She sounds like a child. She sounds like a kid. So that's where I said that if he says that she sounds like a child, so obviously he would smack her as well.
Oh, you were using
smacking child for him is normal, so probably smacking Katie would be normal for him if she would be his wife.
Okay, so you used it as an analogy, in other words.
Yeah, do you know kind of way? So he was saying that it's normal to smack a child. So if Katie would be his wife and he would think that she's acting childish, he would smack her.
Yeah, you can respond to that, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, was she basically insinuating that if Katie was my wife in some fantasy VLAN that I would in any way physically abuse her?
Don't go into details, just answer the questions. There's no need to describe.
What's the question? Don't pretend like you're smarter than you are. What's the question? That I would smack Katie if Katie was my wife? I wouldn't raise my hand to any woman. I wouldn't raise my hand to any woman.
Don't take Katie. Take your wife if she would act like a child. She would say, no, John, I want this jacket now, and this jacket costs €1,000, and you would say, stop acting like a child.
What was your
say,
question?
No, I want this
what
child.
was your question? What was your question?
Well, the question was quite simple, John. The fact is that she said because you would be willing to smack a child if they were unruly or acting like a child and undisciplined, that if your wife or girlfriend acted in the same way, would you smack them?
So I was right. She was accusing me basically of if I was married that I would smack my wife.
I wasn't accusing. I asked. There was a question.
No, I wouldn't
there was a
smack
question
my
mark
wife.
at the
No,
end.
I wouldn't raise my hand to my wife. No, I wouldn't raise my hand to a woman. No.
So why would you raise it? Why would if you wouldn't raise the hand to a woman? Why would you raise it with
Hang on a
daughter?
second. Where do you get the commonality between smacking your wife and physically chastising your child?
Because
Are you
sometimes
mentally
wife can
retarded?
act
Is there
like a
something wrong
child.
with you? Where do you get the
normal
commonality?
Because all women can act like a child. Any man can act like
where
a
do you get the
child.
commonality?
We are
Where do
all
you get the
kids
commonality between
inside.
physically chastising your child, a little slap on the bottom or a slap on the hand or whatever if he's bold, and hitting or abusing your wife? How is
Well, I
there
think
a
if your
commonality
child is
there?
not listening, your words, that I don't think any smack or slap will help it. Katie was right.
Help what?
Sometimes
Help
you can
what?
just explain.
Help what? What are you talking about? What are you
Okay,
talking
give me
about?
an example. Where would you smack your child? Give me an example.
What difference does
Give me
it
an
make?
example of situation where would you smack your child?
Why are you asking that question? What difference does
Because
it make?
that's what you were saying. Because you said
Why are you?
sometimes
What am I
you
saying?
need it in
No, I
very,
don't think you
very
know. Not only do I not think you know what I'm saying, but I don't think you know what you're saying.
Oh,
You
really?
really
Maybe
don't
it's
know
my
what you're
English.
talking about,
Yeah,
do
maybe
you?
I don't. Maybe I just don't speak any English. Maybe my English is so bad, my accent is so hard to understand, so I just don't understand anything.
No. Hang on a second.
You want to go
Hang
this way?
on a second.
You want to go this way?
Don't fall on this. I'm from Barcelona. I know nothing business. There's nothing wrong with your English. You don't know what you're talking about if you're trying to make some parallel between me slapping a woman and somebody physically chastising their child.
Sorry.
There's no commonality there.
Sorry, Katie, what'd you say?
I said, how does he know what he's talking about? He hasn't got any kids. You shouldn't be even in this conversation.
You don't need. Hang on. You don't need to have kids to be able to have an opinion on this subject matter. You don't need to have kids. It's common
Yeah, but you're
sense.
telling Christine that she thinks she knows everything about everything, and you think you do. John, I'm telling you.
I just
How would you
asked a
know
simple.
if it's right
I
or
just
wrong?
asked
Yeah,
a
but
simple thing.
but the question
Give me an example.
you
Where
asked,
would you?
the question you
Give me an
asked-
example. Where would you slap your child? Tell me. Just give me an
Okay,
example.
Well,
What's your example?
she's asking for a hypothetical scenario or situation where you feel a slap on the leg would be necessary, John. It's a simple question.
Sorry, what did you say?
A hypothetical situation or a scenario where you believe it would be, it would be okay to slap a child on the leg or the bottom.
So what's the question?
Oh, John. Give us a
situation.
situation, John. Give me one situation you believe is acceptable to slap a child.
If a child has, if a child has, I don't know, used a curse word, or a child has something like that. If a child has used a curse word or something that they shouldn't have used, or been in some.
So why would you slap a child if he said this and he's? Oh, sorry, Daddy, I didn't know that. I heard this on the street. Some boy said that when his toy broke, he said,
but the child
F word.
but the
That's what
child.
you think it means.
I can't believe how banal this conversation is. The child has verbally repeated what he's heard. Therefore, I'm correcting the child for saying a curse
You have
word.
to slap.
What
So
would
if
you
you want to
suggest I
correct
do?
your child, you have to slap
What
him.
would you suggest I do? Give him a banana and tell him not to do it again?
Do you know what
you
I
don't
would do?
reward him, you just
I
tell
would
him
say,
not to
dear
do it
son,
and it's
this is not a good word, and I do not want you to talk like that anymore. Because this is not a good word, and you're a good boy.
Can I
That's
give
it.
you some advice? Can I give you some friendly advice? Stop
You're not my
watching.
friend, but go ahead.
Can I just give you some advice? Two
Go ahead.
pieces of advice. Stop watching Super Nanny and stop watching Dr. Phil.
Guess what? I'm not even watching this stuff.
Sorry, Katie.
Well, you're the one
What
that
did you say
mentioned
something there,
Super
Katie?
Nanny.
Go ahead, Katie. Sorry, you wanted to say something there. Go
I
ahead.
was just saying there, you can't just throw a child, you're just playing the child like a monkey, like, that's nearly racism there, John. Do you know what I mean? You can't just throw a child a banana
Racism?
and
Where
say,
does racism... Hang
See,
on
you
a second.
obviously have no
Hang on.
idea
Where's
because
the
you haven't got any kids.
Where's the racism? Where's the racism? You really are an
You can't just throw a
imbecile.
child a banana and say, there you go, like it's a monkey. Do you know what I mean? You
Well, who
obviously
mentioned
haven't
the
got a
monkey?
clue 'cause you've
Who
no
mentioned the
kids.
monkey? Who mentioned the monkey? Who mentioned the
You were
monkey in
saying give
relation
a
to
child a
bananas?
banana.
What's a banana got to do with a monkey? A banana's a fruit.
I mentioned the monkey, John.
Why
I
did you
brought
mention the monkey?
and saying you can't
did,
just throw
but
a
you
child
did mention the
banana
monkey.
like a
But why
monkey.
did you mention the monkey? What does the monkey
Because
got to do
you're
with the
throwing-
banana?
Are you finished?
What does racism have to do with this?
Are you finished? Are you going to
I
let me
am
talk?
finished, yeah. You still haven't
Well,
answered
then
me.
shut up.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Katie, go ahead.
He said he just gives the child a banana, and I goes, you can't just throw a child a banana like a monkey. I didn't say he said a monkey. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't hear what I said.
Clue.
You didn't hear what I said.
Clue.
She said, hang on a second. She said, she gave me
A
I gave
situation.
her an example.
Yes.
She asked me under what circumstances would I smack my child. I gave her an example of the child using a curse word that maybe he has repeated. And she said, there's no need for you to smack the child. Just tell him not to use that word again. And I said,
Yeah, and you
well,
said
if that's
you
your...
can't
And
just
I,
give them a
listen,
banana. I
Katie,
heard you.
listen. You come from a very, very rough background. You've obviously got very limited intelligence. Listen. What
John,
she
that
said
has
was...
absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking
she
about.
said-
Right, will
she
you just
said-
stop
she
bringing
gave
that
me-
up every time I say
she
stuff?
gave me-
You have no
she
education,
gave-
you're from a shit background. I don't give a shit where I'm from, what my education is. I have a child and you don't, so I know more than you do on this, right? For once, I
Where
know
do
more
you
than
get?
do on
Where
this
do you connect the
situation.
racism? There's no racism in this. Where do you bring racism into this?
Why do you go to the background? Go to, I don't know, Bill Gates, or go to,
Oh, go
I don't
to
know, Jobs,
look, go
and
to
tell
the
him, listen, you're coming from a poor
go to
family.
the
How come you're
departure
so
section
rich?
of Dublin Airport, will you? Because
What?
you don't know
don't
what
have
you're
to bring
talking about.
anybody's background here.
What are you doing? Tell her to go to Dublin Airport for?
Because she still doesn't get. She's going on. She hasn't the slightest idea.
But John, is that kind of like just defeat? Okay, I don't agree with Christine. She's not from this country, so I'll tell her to go home. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm
What's that all
saying
about?
what Niall. What I'm saying is because she is not from this country and she is not familiar with a certain, how will I put this, class of very young single
I'm
parents.
pretty sure wherever Christine is from. Where are you from, Christine? Poland?
Estonia.
Estonia. Sorry for branding you as being Polish immediately. But there's a lot of Polish in Ireland. Okay, but wherever Christine is from in Estonia, I'm pretty sure they have single parents as well, John. They're not exclusive to Ireland.
Yeah, but Niall, there are subtle cultural differences that are very, very different. So when we're talking about, for
That has
instance...
nothing to do with this.
It
Has nothing to do with it. We're talking about smacking a kid or not smacking a kid, right? So it doesn't matter if you understand where I'm from a shithole and you're from D4. That doesn't matter. We're talking about, do you smack your child, yes or no?
Okay, hang on for a second. Somebody says this is like listening to a couple of kids arguing. Katie is on again talking crap. She has two kids with two different men. Katie, get a life. Somebody else says, tell John a banana is a fruit. It's not a fruit, it's actually a herb. Never heard that before. So he says, why do you allow this bully John on the radio? He's an idiot who has only on to abuse those two girls because they're single mothers. Well, I don't know whether Christine's a single mother or not. And the other one is a foreigner. Oh, yeah. He's not as smart as he thinks he is. What makes him think he is smarter than the two girls? The xenophobic idiot. That comes in from Thomas in Galway. I got to go to... who is it? Oh, Sinead on one. Sinead, you're in Wicklow. You're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you, Sinead.
Hi, Niall. How are you?
How are you doing, Sinead? Go ahead.
I'm very well, thank you. My point on all of this, I don't believe that any child should be smacked, and I have two children myself. So yeah, I agree with Katie 100%. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that I'd say 95% of cases where children are smacked, it's due to the parents' frustration with other issues that are going on in their life. And I'm 95% sure that in most cases that's what goes on.
Yes, I would imagine so.
Yeah. And I do. I've seen it, and I've been in the position before. I've got an older child. He's nearly 18. And when he was younger, I was a lot younger, and I did smack him, and it was due to my frustration. And I'll tell you now, the guilt that I felt if I ever smacked him was unreal. If you love your child and you hurt them by it in any way, it's absolutely horrific. Mm-hmm. My other little boy, who's 5 now, I'm older. I'm able to handle things better and in a different way, and I've never raised my hand. Never ever raised my hand to him. I've dealt with things in a very diplomatic way, and I do talk to him, and I'd say you're not allowed to do this, that, and the other, and we have absolutely no problems whatsoever with him. He's a very well-mannered little boy, and long may it continue.
Yeah, it's very tough because I was in that position before and I shouted straight into my daughter's face, and she's only a child and I'm an adult from 48 and should know better. So I felt really shit after it. I felt really so bad.
Of course you would.
And I know somebody came out to me
with
earlier on because I apologised.
Would feel that.
Yeah, I apologised to her, which I know is probably not the right thing to do.
No, I've done the same. Yeah. When I smacked my older son, I apologised to him because it wasn't anything to do with him. It was because I was upset or frustrated due to stress in my life or whatever it may have been, and it was 100% my fault.
What do you think about what do you think what John is saying? That what John is saying is that, you know, you have to discipline a child. There is occasions where it just has to be done. In other words, do you agree, Sinead, with legislation to stop parents from doing it?
Yes, I do. I remember years ago, and how I didn't do anything about this is beyond me. I was shopping in Tesco, and there was this child in a trolley, and he was screaming going around the shop for whatever reason, and you could see that the mother was getting frustrated but keeping the cool. And when she got outside, she whacked that child's head off the front seat of the trolley. Yeah. I'll never forget it. And that I didn't do anything about it. And to this day it haunts me, because I said, what on earth goes on in that house? If she could do that in public.
That's always my thinking. When I see these mothers, for example, you ever see a mother dragging a child through a shop? Now, I'm talking about literally dragging them through a shop. I don't get me wrong, I've had those frustrating moments out shopping with my kids where they want something they don't want and then they start freaking out. I've never had the lying on the floor crying business, but I would say, that's fine, cry your eyes out and walk away.
Oh, yeah, no, so would I.
Yeah, but some people take it out and they drag the child.
They'll think twice about doing it again, because if you give in to them, well, then you're the fool.
You're snookered, yeah.
And let them cry. They'll be all right after a while, you know.
I know it can be embarrassing for the moment. Sorry, John, go ahead. You want to say something to Sinead there? She agrees with legislation to ban smacking kids. So like Katie, she thinks it's abuse.
Right. What is it you think I wanted to say?
Well, I believe that you disagree with her. That there is occasions where you believe
I
smacking is okay.
that whether or not I believe that I don't believe in a legislation to outright ban the physical correction of children. I don't, because I believe that
John, if you were in a relationship with somebody, just say you're in a relationship with somebody, right, and you said the F word, and you know your partner said, "Look, I don't appreciate you using that word," and hit you a thump in the head.
Well,
would you agree with that?
I wouldn't use that word in front of a child anyway.
No, she's saying you missed the point.
Okay, give us the example again.
Okay, just say you've got a child and they use the F word and you smacked it. Don't ever use that word again. If your wife or your partner, whoever it may be, uses the F word, would you smack her and tell her not to use the word again? We all know that we're not supposed to be using the word.
Yeah, but
would you think it's okay? And I'll tell you now, you wouldn't. Nobody deserves to be smacked. Be it an adult or a child.
Look, you're getting into idealism here. In an ideal world, nobody would ever hit anybody, nobody would ever shoot it. Yeah,
nobody deserves to be smacked, whether you're an adult or a child.
But this is the big bad world. Ideally, nobody would ever.
By smacking somebody, you are hurting them.
You're going to allow me to respond.
And a vulnerable child to be smacked unnecessarily is not on.
Right, can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Sure, go ahead.
She says, right, nobody deserves to be smacked, right? In an ideal world where, you know, there are fluffy pink bunnies flying across the sky and all the rest of it, nobody should hit anybody.
I don't live in the ideal world.
Nobody should. Look, were you going to allow me to respond or what? Are you going to allow me to respond without interrupting me? Right, thank you. In an ideal world, nobody should smack anybody, nobody should hit anybody, nobody should shoot anybody, nobody should rape anybody, nobody should be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The reality is that we're not living in an ideal world. Mm-hmm. With regards to the ban, the legislation calling for a ban on the physical chastisement of children, I totally disagree with that ban, right? Whether or not a child ends up having to be physically corrected, or how often that child would need to be physically corrected, or if indeed at all, I believe is totally dependent on the parenting of that child. And I believe...
I think Sinead is agreeing with you on that point.
And I believe, absolutely, in my personal opinion, whether or not a child needs to be physically chastised or not, or how often, is entirely dependent on the quality of parenting of that child. Continuing on from that,
what if you're in a bad mood and your partner's in a bad mood? You deserve to get a thump because
hang up the phone.
You've done something wrong.
Can I finish? Can I be allowed to finish my point?
Well, I'm asking you a simple
question. Can I be allowed to finish my point?
If you do something wrong,
can I be allowed to finish my point?
Well, hold on, John. In fairness, I mean, she just asked you a question in relation to what you just said, which is fair. In other words, if you're in a bad mood and your partner's in a bad mood and your child misbehaves, is that an excuse then for you to hit the child?
Absolutely not.
But that's the point that she's making. That's all that Sinead is
In
saying.
95% of cases, that's what happens.
Absolutely not. I do not.
But that's what happens, John.
I speak from experience, unfortunately.
Hang on a second. It happens. That situation should never happen. You should never hit your child simply because for the reason that you're in a bad mood.
There's no other reason why you would ever hit a child. Because I know as a parent, if I'm in really good mood, my kids are having a bit of fun and one misbehaves, I deal with it differently. If I'm in a bad mood and they misbehave, I deal with it very differently. I might raise my voice a little bit more. I don't hit them, but some parents would lash out and hit them. So it's the parents' fault, John.
Niall, I am wholeheartedly agreeing with that, and that forms the nucleus of my point. It is the parents' fault, and I believe that the children that I'm talking about in this context, where the ban should not apply, which is the reason why the ban should not be outright, right? The reason I don't agree with the ban is because the children that need the physical chastisement, unfortunately, need the physical correction, are the children that are being raised by
But all the more reason for them to get more help rather than punishing them even more. They might have a bad upbringing. That's not their fault. And smacking them is actually just going to make matters a hell of a lot worse.
Okay, stay there, Sinead, if you want. I just want to bring one more in if I can, because I want to take on Liz in Dublin. Liz, you're live on Classic Hits 4FM. Good evening to you.
Hi, Niall.
How you doing, Liz? You think it's okay to slap a child sometimes?
No, I'm not saying it's okay to slap a child, which I definitely don't agree with. I mean, I have a young child, you know that yourself. I mean, I think kids can definitely test your patience at times, you know, and we've all been there, that we've lost their heads, we've given them a slap, or we shouted, or we screamed, or we did whatever, and you're guilt-ridden, like, unbelievable, you know. Like, I often sent my son out to school after giving out to him, and I'm telling you now, I'd sit down there and I'd cry. After just
I know, it's horrible. I agree, Liz.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's a mother's love.
Look, the right way is definitely to talk to a child and tell them. I mean, that is just the only way. And I can give an example now, just for curiosity's sake. I actually do child minding at the minute, and I'm minding this little boy. He's having difficulties controlling his emotions and his behaviour. Like, if something doesn't go his way, he'll have a big, huge tantrum. So we were asked to try this technique with him, a breathing technique or whatever. So I was doing this technique with him, it wasn't working, and I mean, he was having probably 4 or 5 meltdowns a day when I was there minding him. So I was like, no, this is not working, you know, and I don't care what the school says, this is just not happening. So I started putting my own rules in place, and I just said, right now, any more of that nonsense, and it's taking time out. And I can guarantee you wouldn't even know that child today. Complete turner, completely different child, because when he used to do the technique with him, he used to know, okay, I'll have a fit now, we'll do the technique, we'll all breathe, calm down, as I've forgotten about. You know, there was no consequence.
You were letting him know you were the boss, you know? Which is right.
Yeah, that's right. She was letting him know who was in charge.
Behaviour.
Yeah, so Liz, because I really have to wrap this up in a second, but in relation to legislation, for example, which puts a whole different slant on things, for example, if a parent slaps a child, be it in public, or if somebody finds out about it in the home, do you think a parent should be charged with it? Because that's indeed what would happen if legislation was brought in.
You know, that's the thing, that is the thing. I mean, as I said, we all do it in frustration. Sometimes it happens, and you don't want it to happen, you know. We all want to be best parents as we can be, you know. We all want to correct their kids. I mean, there is parents out there that just fly off the handle and actually use the hand to deal with every situation, which is not correct. And that's why the law should be there to protect them kids. But then you have parents that are trying to do that best and lost that reason for one split second or whatever, get that child. Now, I mean a slap. I'm not talking about beating. I mean a slap. And yet they're going to be up the shit for it as well, you know. So, I mean, it's a hard balance to get right.
Yeah, okay, well, hold on a second, because I've got to wrap it up in a second. Sorry,
no, I have one last thing to say.
Yeah, sorry, and I know Katie wants to say something as well, but go on. Yeah,
I have one last final thing to say, and I'm going. The children I'm talking about are the social welfare burdens of young Jesus Howie, single mothers.
Okay, so you're very... Well, obviously, Katie was making reference to you there again, which I'm very sad to.
I just wanted to say... Just before, I wanted to say to John there, but he's obviously too chicken to let me talk to him. If the tables were turned and I came on here saying I do smack me kids, the same would happen. Everyone would be coming on, that's because you're from a bad background, it's because you live in town, it's because you know education. And I'm sick of it, Niall. It doesn't matter what I say. John's always on at me going, because I'm from a bad background, I'm a single mother. And you know what? I couldn't really care what he says, but it does get to me, Niall. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying my best here. I'm staying at home every day with my child to try and get him not the way that everyone else around here is, trying to make him get something out of his life. Do you know what I mean? Like, John has no idea what it's like because he hasn't even got any kids, Niall. I'm sorry now, I get all upset, but he's just a prick, Niall. He really is.
No, look, Katie, don't get upset. And hold on for a second, Katie. I defended you tonight because I think you deserve to be defended tonight. Because I think you definitely, obviously know what you're doing. Because I don't agree with smacking kids, and I don't think it's the right thing to do. I know it does happen now and again, but I don't think you need to, I suppose, justify your existence to John.
No, I don't know, because he's a prick. He's a horrible prick, and that's all.
Well, I agree. I think he is being mean to you any time that you do come on. I think he does have a go at you for no reason. And you're right. No matter what you said tonight, he would have had a go at you for exactly the same reasons. And I do completely agree. And all I can do is, I'm not going to apologise on his behalf because I don't think he wants to apologise to you. I don't think he would want to apologise to you. But all I can say to you is, Katie, you just do the best you can do. That's all you can do in life, is the best you can do.
Thanks, Niall. Thanks.
All right. Okay, Katie, good night to you. All right, we got to move on.
You've been listening to a Classic Hits 4FM podcast. Check out classichits.ie for more.